Hi, Allie. Do you want to introduce yourself to us?
Sure. My name is Allie Sturmer. I am an art ed student at CSU. I'm a senior this year and a painting concentration major.
All right. And where were you working this semester?
This semester I was working at the Lab School for Creative Learning here in Fort Collins with a group of 2 other people, and I was teaching a 2nd and 3rd grade class, art.
Fantastic. So describe your experience at the Lab School for us.
Like I said, I taught 2nd and 3rd grade, and we kind of peer taught some lessons, and I taught a couple lessons about masks. I asked the students to make special power masks, and they kind of described their ideal power, and then they transferred that into plaster masks, and then ended up painting them and kind of making, like expressive features on them. And then the second one I did, we wrote stories about those masks, and so the kids kind of would tell a story about an adventure they went on or how they found the mask, those sort of things, as to kind of put some literacy into art.
Thanks for sharing. While you were teaching, did you learn about teaching?
I learned that you can't make conceptions about students. They tend to be very surprising, and you never know what some students might be capable of, or maybe even not capable of doing. So I think that's really what makes it exciting, is you just get to see what these kids are capable of, and they can just exceed your expectations.
All right. What do you believe are some of your teaching strengths?
My teaching strengths, I think for the most part I'm pretty organized in writing, lesson plans and kind of making an idea. And I also think one of my strengths is developing communication and relationships with my students. I find it pretty easy, especially at this young level, to really connect with the students, because they're more than willing to tell you about their art and their lives.
So what are some things you need to work on in your teaching that you discovered?
I think I definitely need to work on maybe some classroom management. I have a hard time refocusing a very large group of young kids at this age. It gets to be a little overwhelming sometimes, and I do like some artistic chaos in my room, but there comes a point where it becomes distracting, or it's very difficult to deal with individual students who might be making a problem. So I definitely think that is something that I need to work on.
Okay, so leading right into that, what are some classroom management techniques you learned or want to improve on?
My cooperating teacher had a really great system for classroom management. She had a big wind chime in the middle of her room, and so whenever she would try and get the students' attention, she would ring the wind chime, and that would kind of get their attention, and then they'd kind of look at her. So that was something really interesting, just to kind of really refocus them as a group. So I thought that was really helpful.
All right. And what surprised you in your experience teaching?
The complexity of kids at this age really surprised me. I expected them to be more, more simple and overall just happy, and but I found that kids were really complex, and they really understood a lot, and I was very surprised about that.
So that's perfect segue into what did you learn about your students? Anything you can expand upon in regards to that?
I found that they really respond well to being communicated with. I learned that they really want a relationship with their teacher, and so that's one way that you can really get them to engage, just to really show them that you care.
And what did you learn from your students? What did they teach you?
I think they kind of taught me to slow down and simplify things in a way, because as an artist, I really like to work in detail and really realistic, and it's interesting to see these kids' art. They really have very little knowledge of, art techniques, and they lack the dexterity to really do really detailed things. And so, but their art still turns out so beautiful sometimes that I feel like, it kind of teaches you to just, relax about things and just loosen up a little bit. I thought that was interesting, the students.
Good. And what did you learn from your cooperating teacher? You talked a little bit about the classroom management skills, but anything else that you can describe to us?
I thought it was really interesting how she really got the kids to really respect her, but like you could tell that they really liked her. Like they liked her as a person. They weren't, afraid of her. When I first went into the classroom, whenever she would discipline them, I'd be like, oh man, like she's kind of scary to these little kids. But the kids, I really feel like had a strong relationship with her, and she would talk to them about things outside of class, like to keep them safe or to keep them happy. And so I think that was really interesting to learn from her, because she really connected with the kids, but she still, she was still willing to discipline them and not let them, go crazy.
Okay, great. And looking back on the entire experience, what is your favorite memory and something you will take away?
My favorite memory? My favorite memory was probably connecting with a couple of the students. There was one student who made a little clay baggie that she just made this little pillow-looking bag thing with a bow on it, and she just could not get over it the whole semester. So I really feel like she made that relationship to art, that she'll never forget, because I remember doing that stuff when I was little. I would have one little weird character, whether it be a slug or a, girl with a bow tie or, whatever. But, you really remember those things. So I think that was one of the highlights, that she really just got into it.
Well, thanks, Allie, for sharing about your experience this semester, and we'll move on. We can
All right,
cut.
thank you.